It has been a huge challenge growing the game. But if we take into account that iconic picture of the great Nelson Mandela and Francois Pienaar holding up the Webb Ellis Trophy in 1995 when we played the All Blacks in the World Cup in South Africa, the message was very clear for all of us, including myself, that rugby was going to be a unifier, it was going to be an instrument for reconciliation, and rugby was going to be special for a country like South Africa. But it certainly has its unique challenges going forward. The face of the game is drastically changed from 20 years ago. The profile of crowds, players, administrators, referees, and coaches is unrecognizable. South African Rugby Union has had a black president for the past 15 years. Our Player of the Year award has been won by black players 6 times. There's been a black Springbok coach, and at one time, all 4 national teams, our domestic teams, had black coaches. Between a quarter and a third of all Springbok teams are black. Saru initiatives and the IRB's Get Into Rugby program will introduce new communities to rugby. In 1992, the old South African Rugby Board said there were 725 clubs in the country. Today, there are 950 registered clubs playing rugby under the auspices of our provincial unions. Let me add again, there are a number of unregistered clubs that we don't know the exact numbers of. Nelson Mandela's autobiography was called The Long Walk to Freedom. It would be presumptuous to place rugby struggles in the same light. But it has been a long and rocky walk for rugby since unity was achieved in 1992. We may not yet have achieved freedom from our past, but at least Mr. Mandela has ensured that rugby has a sound and healthy future in South Africa.
Why did we get into rugby? I remember him at the General Assembly in Auckland 2 years ago, and having that snagging sense our cupboard was bare. We didn't really have a mass participation program. We were advising people, yeah, you should do something, should definitely do something, but really we didn't have a lot to help out in that. And so I said, right, next time we meet all our colleagues and our rugby family, hopefully the cupboard won't be as bare. I got thinking, well, what way would you go about doing mass participation program? It's got to be genuine, and it's got to mean something. And I thought back, remember that feeling when I picked up the ball when I was 12 in Naas and headed off down the pitch, tripped over just before the try line, but managed to get there and dot over. And that exhilarating feeling of the ball in hand and running down the field, and I thought, wow, imagine if we could share that. Well, I'm very pleased to say that we've launched Get Into Rugby. And what we're trying to do, simply, is to inspire the next generation to try, to play, but most importantly, to stay in rugby. And really, that's our job. It's your job, and collectively, it's all of our job. So what have we done so far? We've got a great regional team. We selected a range of countries. We invited some countries, the easier ones, to come and join with us. And this has gone haywire. It's really gone mad because the unions are embracing it. Get Into Rugby is in 50 countries. We've got 150,000 players this year participating in Get Into Rugby globally. We're in over 1,000 locations. This program is a partnership. We've got 6 regional associations. And we cannot deliver this program without our 6 regional associations. And each one of our regional associations have been provided with the investment and imagination, and they're now implementing Get Into Rugby, and they're going to take this program to as many countries as are ready to join up with us on the program. It's also a terrific partnership with sponsors. This program is now, as we're seeing, allowing our sponsors to open the door and generate revenue. We've got support from the IOC to deliver it. And ultimately, the game is growing, and this is going to help the game grow.
And Rookie Rugby is our version of Get Into Rugby. It's our primary mass participation program that we've been launching for the last 5 years, and we've reached millions of kids in schools and communities just through that program. We estimate that we've probably reached about 5 million kids over the last 5 years who have touched a rugby ball in a school or in a community, in a backyard, or have seen it and experienced it in some way. Unfortunately, we haven't transitioned all of them into our registered members, but that's our primary goal now, and that's sort of a lesson that we learned is we tried to get it everywhere, and then now we're trying to be a lot more focused in increasing our numbers.
We've seen massive growth over the years, particularly in the kind of younger age groups, and as we get closer and closer now to that magical moment in 2015 for us, we're really busy building capacity in our system. So coaches, referees, volunteers, improving and enhancing our club facilities, encouraging and enabling more schools, and for us particularly secondary schools, so aged 11 plus, to get involved and start to play the game, so that we really make sure that those people that we are convinced will come to the game in 2015 come back to the game and stay in the game beyond that opportunity.
I just want to touch on the institutional or the organisational level, what I call the business case. The business case for girls and women playing and being involved in rugby. And it's at multiple levels. And this is where organisations need to think and act. So, you know, we could start at the top end and say, medals. There are now Olympic medals out there. And that really has brought a whole new perception to the game, because we know that sporting prowess is important. We know that political prowess associated with sporting success is important. And, you know, an Olympic medal is gender neutral. It's neither male nor female. And we now see countries thinking, well, the business case for the investment and development of girls' rugby and women's rugby is medals. I worked at UK Sport, unashamedly elite. And the investment by UK Sport would be gender neutral on the basis of who's closer to the podium. So we've got these magnificent schemes bringing girls and boys to rugby. We've got to wrap things around them. And if you can engage women in the coaching process, engage them in leadership and decision making, then suddenly you're getting organisational development as well as rugby development.
Well, what I've seen up here today, we've got rugby growing but being used for social change. We've seen the mass participation product, which is different in different countries, but it's based on Get Into Rugby. We've seen the success of your Rookie Rugby program, and the learning from that is that maybe you now need to focus. We've seen the value of having women and girls take up the game and the benefits it can give rugby, as well as the benefits to the women and girls. And we've seen the need to put very, very well-structured plans in place to make situations whereby you can cope with an increased participation by putting the right infrastructure in. So thank you all very much.